It's bourbonblog.com. The founders of 15 Stars, Ricky and Rick Johnson, the father-son team from Indiana, and honoring the 15th state, which is Kentucky. That's where the name comes from, isn't it?
That's right. 15th state, and the second U.S. flag has 15 stars and 15 stripes, right? So second U.S. flag really celebrating Kentucky as the 15th state. 1795, long time ago. And,
I love what you've done. I love what you all have created in your very innovative releases the last several years. Fairly new brand. You're 6 years into this, and I was personally really excited. Actually, as I took the top off this, these tops are beautiful too, aren't they? These have the what is that on top? I know you can tell me.
It's a combination of the front and back of a 1795 first coinage of the United States, 1795 silver dollar. It has 15 stars on it. Again, celebrating Kentucky, the very first coinage of the U.S., celebrating Kentucky with 15 stars.
If you're a bourbon collector, whiskey collector like I am, you can become a kind of a coin collector in a way with this product too.
Yeah.
But you see me smell it. As I opened it, right away, I'm getting this aroma. I heard about this bourbon, and I said, this has never been done before. Okay, we've followed the story of bourbon for many years at BourbonBlog. We love port barrel finishes, but this isn't just tawny. It isn't just ruby. It is also white. 3 different types of ports. The 3 ports finished 9 and 15-year-old bourbon, never been done before, in 3 different casks. Tell me about this, how you did it, what inspired it, and I'll listen, and everyone else will, as I sit back and sip.
Yeah, so the 3 ports, definitely a unique product. And, the intention when we made that wasn't to necessarily do a 3 different port cask finish product. When we do our finishes, we have a lot of different blends of bourbons aging in different finishing barrels at any given time. And so we were working on a new finished product, like similar to how we did our triple casks, where it was 3 different cask finishes, but not all from the same type of wine or whatever. And so this one, we tried a bunch of different things, including cognacs, sherries, rum, and it ended up being the best combination was those 3 port casks. And it was something that we thought brought a lot of flavor out. As you can tell from tasting it, it's very, flavor forward, kind of what I consider to be a fruit medley. You get a lot of those different fruit notes spanning. And that's the cool thing about the 3 ports being in it, is each one of those obviously has their own unique characteristics and brings different flavors forward. So with that ruby, you get kind of the more ripe fruit notes.
Oh, yeah.
The tawny will be kind of the more subdued dark fruits, like the plums, the dried cherries and such. And then the white port in there representing a bit more of the subtle fruit, like pear and apple.
Yes.
So you kind of get all of that. They all have their influence in the product, and that's always our goal with it, is to balance. We don't want one of those finishes to be dominant. We want them all to express themselves in the final product. And at the same time, talking about balance, our goal is never to have those finishes overpower the bourbon. What we always aim for with our finishes is to have a bourbon that has influence from the finish, but isn't flavored by it. We don't want a flavored bourbon. We want a bourbon influenced by these finishing casks.
Yeah. That speaks a little to the bourbons we use, right? A 9 and 15-year-old blend, and those are two bourbons that we love, right? And bring those together. So we don't use finishes to cover up, as Ricky was saying, right? We got something we love all by itself, and so we really double blend is in many cases, and this is an example of that, right? Where we blend a bourbons that we think is amazing. And then we've put it in these different casks and given it some finishing time, and then we bring it back out and say, okay, then how would we blend those those three finishes together? How do we blend those together in a way that puts that balance in that Ricky's talking about, and lets the optimal flavors come through? Let it still be elegant, but very complex to get that richness of all those flavors. And again, as Ricky said, we didn't start out saying, hey, let's make 3 ports. We started out saying, how do we make a really great whiskey from, us, like Ricky said, the platform of whiskeys, the palette of whiskeys that we have in front of us, and those just kind of came together in a way that we thought was really, really special, and that's really our method of blending and finishing, and even into the flavor proofing, is how do we let those whiskeys guide the process rather than us trying to push them into a corner, trying to figure out where they want to go, and then just really bringing balance to them in that blending process.
It's a beautiful approach you take, and I have seen, we've all seen port finishes with alone with the ruby, the tawny. White, I don't think has been has not been explored as much, and of course, for white ports, and I was lucky enough several years ago on my honeymoon to spend a little bit of time in Porto. In Portugal, trying the ports and trying port cocktails.
We're planning to do that this summer.
Yeah, hey, I'll join you. We'll go have some wonderful ports together. But you're looking at the Gouveia and the Malvasia Fina and other types of grapes and a younger port, and that is bringing those other more citrus, those apple notes. This is just hitting all those different right spots, but coming together in a symphony that's luscious, that it's thick, but also not too thick. It has a creamy note. And again, a first ever. And all these, if I'm not mistaken, these releases are fairly limited edition. Is that right?
Yep. Everything we've put out so far. I mean, some of our releases we re-release, but there will be some slight changes in that. But most of our releases outside of a select couple are limited. This 3 ports being one of those.
Yeah. I don't remember how many bottles, Ricky. Do you remember?
You know how many?
Less than 3,500.
Less than 3,500 bottles. I really feel very fortunate to be having this sip with you. It's just so luscious. Everything you all do is so beautiful. You're really blending older whiskeys together. And you think about, hey, could you have done this with a younger whiskey? You could do it, but you still wouldn't get the flavors that you all are bringing with these older ages. You can taste those older ages through the finishes. And a lot of that has to do with the flavor proofing, what you're selecting, that process in general, finding the right old bourbons, finishing. Talk about that flavor proofing process a little.
Yeah, so kind of one thing, the difference for us when we finish is the blend that we're putting in the finishing barrel is a blend that we would release before being finished. It's a product that we're happy with and have put through the same testing and blending process as we do any other product that we have on the shelves. So
you put that blend into the barrel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Barrel that you're finishing.
Yeah. Right. So we've created a product that we would bottle before putting it into these barrels.
You already love it. And that's part of the flavor proofing.
So the flavor proofing
is your approach in general.
Yeah. Part of creating a product that we love, and that being the main idea behind everything. And for the flavor proofing, that would happen in when we're blending those finished casks together. So we're taking those, because it goes through a full another round of blending, a complete, redevelopment of the product, where we're starting from scratch and trying these casks at different percentages in the blend. And as we're doing that and testing it at these different percentages, we're trying those different blends up and down the proof range, so that we can, rather than finding a wonderful blend and then proofing, we can find a blend and proof that both complement each other. Because I'm sure, as you know, adding a little bit of water and proofing to different levels pulls out different notes from a product. It can draw different flavors out, make them more pronounced or subdued. There's a lot of playing with flavor to be done in proofing. And so we don't think it should be an afterthought. We think it's an equal part of the blending process.
is an equal part as you're doing it, as you all are trying these different proofs. How many different proofs? I mean, you've been at this for a little while. Do you have to try before you get the right one? I mean, how do you know you've gotten the right one? How does it? Do you compare notes? Do you talk about it together and then decide together? How does that look?
Yeah, so typically when we're kind of in the early stages of blending, I'll try, every 5 proof we'll try, from like 90 to whatever cask strength is. And then as we start to find, and from that you can understand what areas different flavors come out and kind of guide from there. You're like, okay, I know I like this blend between 100 and 105. Those were the 2 best proofs for this blend. So we'll dive into that area a little further. So we start more broad, and then you kind of focus in on a spot and a blend that you like, a proof and a blend. And we'll, to kind of decide on a final blend, I'll create the samples, and me and my dad will both taste them together and just discuss. And generally, it's pretty crazy. We're very similar in our palates. I mean, we've had a lot of the same bourbons over the years, and so I guess we've kind of developed our palates for bourbons together and similarly. But it was crazy. We were developing a product just a week ago, and I had made the blends and written my notes on them, and I obviously don't tell him what I think until he goes and tries them. And so he calls me, says, this blend at 98 proof, and 98 proof wasn't even one of the proofs that I set out. I set out 96 and 100 and some others. And he said, this blend at 98 proof. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what I wrote in my notes. And so
it's pretty crazy, right? Didn't even pick one of the samples.
Yeah.
I picked between 2. I said, okay, I got the samples. I think we need to get in between those 2, and wasn't even one of the options. And I suggested it, and then Ricky says,
that's exactly what I said.
what I wrote down
right away what you're liking, and
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So,
therefore, if that comes together, your fans are going to love it, and it's just a process that you've perfected.
Yeah.
Do you ever have him guess what proof this is? Does he?
No, not really.
No. Okay.
Yeah. But it goes to, when we go after these, part of it is, it's what are we trying to do from the start, right? And we have been fortunate enough, through the extra efforts we put into it. We started off with a bourbon. Our very first release was one of 3 finalists for Best Bourbon of the Year at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. And that's probably it was a stroke of amazing luck. Maybe, I don't know. We worked hard, but you got to work hard to get lucky. But to have your very first bourbon be one of 3 finalists for Best Bourbon of the Year, it set a track for us that put us. It's really the best thing that did for us, and that the Tasting Alliance did for us by holding that competition and letting us work hard for it, was it said, okay, to us, okay, we've got a spot. We can actually do that, and we can aim for being the very, very best. And so we buy all the best releases from all the long-standing distillers, and we compare our things against that. That's the background that we compare against. And so when we're putting a whiskey together, we're trying to that balance and that nuance and that blending of the best whiskeys together before you would put it in a finishing cask, and then finding that optimal blend after that, and flavor proofing to just the spot where you get the most flavor. It's about trying to produce the very best whiskey out there that can win one of those best of awards. And we've continued to win those best of style awards. Our sherry cask, which very well, Tom, was won more best bourbons and best finished bourbons than maybe any other bourbon out there recently. And we swept the New York Wine and Spirits competition with that whiskey as best finished bourbon, as best bourbon, and the rye we had that year, our first West rye, as best rye and best of show whiskey. Then that rye went on to win at the LA Spirits Award, best rye whiskey and best of show whiskey. End of the year last year, we were best small batch bourbon with our platinum. Our Three Kings was best American whiskey at the Barleycorn Awards, and best American blended whiskey at the World Whiskeys Awards. So it just speaks to what we're trying to do, is we're trying to really make a really sophisticated, complex whiskey that gives a wide degree of flavor, and it's focused on flavor, right? Focused on producing the very best flavor we can. So anyway, that's our goal from the start, and we let the whiskeys lead us there.
The whiskeys lead you, the flavors,
they
inspire you to try new things. Right now, you already have whiskeys finishing right now in different types of casks. You're always experimenting, innovating. Next month, you're going to be releasing a rye. Tell us about that,
Ricky.
Yeah, so we have out right now, our current rye release is our First West rye, blend of 6, 7, and 9-year-old ryes. So still aged, but we're exploring with this product the higher age ryes. This will be a blend of 14, 13, 9, and 8-year-old rye whiskeys from Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee. It is going to be called our Founders Reserve Rye, and is a really interesting product. It carries those really aged rye notes that you would get from the 13 and 14, but at the same time, an 8-year-old and 9-year-old rye are very different from that. So you still get a neat dynamic that those create, and a roundness and fruitiness that you get from the younger ryes that you don't get from the older ones. So, and also will be our lowest proof product to date in our flavor proofing trials. We really enjoyed it, thought it was incredible at 95 proof. So that's what it'll sit at. And the more we try it, the more we really are happy with this product. I think it ended up being better than when I blended it, honestly. After bottling and trying that product, it's just very flavorful, but also kind of nuanced in that just a nice, easy drinking rye that I think will be approachable for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's Ricky's a little more of a rye drinker. I lean pretty heavy in the bourbon side, but I tell you, this one's getting me sold over. I just talking about it makes me want to go home and have another glass of it. It really is it's a super elegant rye, and we're excited to bring it out next month.
It sounds beautiful. Again, it's Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee, and the ages on them are what again?
14, 13, 9, and 8.
9 and 8. Just such a nice variety. Is it a variety of mash bills? Is it a lot of high rye? Is it?
It is.
Fines?
2 of the mash bills are 95 5s, and 1 is a 51% rye, so barely legal.
Yeah. Beautiful. I can't wait. That'll be coming next month in May. So be watching for that. Be watching for everything. You all are doing such a wonderful job.
We're having a lot of fun.
Father-son team making really some very special things happening in the world of American whiskey. The more I taste this, the more I love it, gentlemen. It's so refined. It's so bold, but yet not too bold. It's very balanced, and just really wish you all the best. Always love chatting with you all. And for everyone watching, again, this is you said less 3,500 bottles or so, right?
Yeah.
So be looking for this. You're in how many states are you in with this one?
28
states. So it's around you, or probably places that they can order it online as well.
15stars.com.
Excellent. Go to 15stars.com. And Ricky, cheers, and thanks for joining us here on BourbonBlog with the 3 ports and exciting news about the forthcoming rye, which will be called the Founders
Reserve Rye.
Founders Reserve Rye, coming in May.
Yep. You heard about it here first.
That's right.
First mention of it. So
I like that. I appreciate it, guys.
We always appreciate visiting with you.
You too, my friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you.